Hey, what's up, guys? We'll get started in a couple minutes. Let's get a chance for everyone to get on here, onto the call. We'll give it 2 minutes. All right, guys, we'll give it 1 more minute just for people to shake on the call. And I'm going to get a little stand to set up my camera real quick. Give us a second to get everybody on the call. All right, can you guys hear me and see me all right? Okay, we're live. Good morning, good morning. What a beautiful day out today. I decided to do the meeting outside. So if you guys are working virtually, don't be afraid to run some of your meetings outside on some nice days so you don't get cabin fever and just get stuck behind that computer all day long. So just to get started, I always want to open up with some questions, and we can start with that. And then, I got some numbers for us, just some basic numbers in the business, and a couple pointers, but I don't have much to go off of today. I don't got tons of material that I don't got like 75 things to cover. So I want to leave it more open-ended for you guys, but you could probably give me three words and I could talk for the next 3 hours on them. But yeah, let's start on any questions from anybody. I'll slide through the screen here. We got a packed house up there in Pittsburgh or Wexford. We got some people from Pittsburgh on the call. Ladies, any questions? Fellas? Did everybody watch the video this morning? Or if you haven't got a chance to, definitely take the time. It's a good one because it's only like a half hour.
Good morning, Mr.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a question for you about overwhelming schedule. like, say if you had a day where, you know, it's a Wednesday and you got 10 appointments lined up, and you know you got to make more appointments, or you got to make more phone calls to get more appointments for the next day or for Friday or so on. What would you do to keep your schedule a little bit more so that you have time to make phone calls, or, you know, time for meetings and other things like that?
Yeah, yeah. So that's the after hours in the early morning and the preparation, because you know you didn't wake up that morning and you know and be like, oh my gosh, I have 10 appointments today. I better figure out how to be, you know, productive today. You've known this for at least 24 hours, right? So professionals do professional preparation, and then they get professional results, and professional results they don't miss. I mean, a professional quarterback's going, you know, 23 for 25 for the day. You know, you know, your professional basketball player, I mean, they're shooting, you know, 12 for 14 from the free throw line. I mean, they don't miss. So the way they do that is through preparation. You'd have to be really prepared through the day. All the folders got to be made. Your route got to be planned. You got to know everybody's situation before you go into their home. A lot of proactive preparation. They say, like, for every hour of preparation you put in today will save you 2 hours tomorrow. So that's really the first thing that comes to mind. And you know, I remember, you know, those are the days that, you know, that should be every day basically. So it shouldn't. First of all, we got to be making that more of a use to the normal situation, instead of the, you know, once in a month I have 10 appointments in a day. You know, that got to be an everyday thing. And when it becomes an everyday thing, it's easy. It's normal. It's normal. You know, ask somebody how to do 10 presentations a day who usually has 15 a day, and they would say 10, that's nothing. I do 15. It's just ask somebody who travels. They're like, oh, okay, you're like, I gotta fly to Chicago. It's an hour and 10-minute flight. It's an hour flight. You know, I don't know. It's a lot. I'm afraid. I'm worried. And then you talk to somebody that traveled to Australia. It was 24 hours in the air. Talking about an hour, bro. I did 24 hours in the air. So when you do that stuff, it expands your thinking and your abilities. And basically, it's a way to try to trick and cheat yourself out of getting good at doing 10 is start booking 12. You know, it's kind of twisted and crazy to think. But, you know, if you're having trouble traveling 2 hours, book yourself a 4-hour flight. Fly to California and back. And then when you have to fly an hour, it's not going to be that bad. I hated flying. A 2-hour flight to me was like nerve-wracking until I flew to Australia and Italy last year. Now, a 2-hour flight's like nothing, piece of cake. So it's like running. I don't know. You know, how do you do 2 miles? Well, start doing 4 miles, and 2 miles will be easy for you. So that's just one other idea, you know, that I would think of, and making that more of a norm. So it becomes just, you know, it's going to be harder the first few times you do it. There's going to be things that pop up that you just can't even account for because you're so busy. So you're going to have to start working, being proactive with that. Planning the meals is big. Planning my meals, making sure I know when I'm going to eat. Having food packed. I definitely always packed food. It was nice when you know, when I would tell my mom I'm having a big week, and she would just pack up food for me for the week. She'd get me all set up, you know. And then when I have my wife, you know, my wife would set up a day every day. She'd have meals planned for me, packed up. You know, I tell her, hey, babe, I'm going to be gone here. I'm going to be gone all day. I mean, my first appointment's at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm meeting Justin at 7:30 at the office. We're driving to our appointment. First appointment's at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, we got to get donuts. We got to show up to this guy's house. So me and Justin would go to our first appointment at 8 o'clock in the morning. He would tell his wife, hey, babe, I'm going to meet Tommy at the office. We'd meet at 7:30 in the morning. So our wives knew we were gone all day. So they had us lunches, they had us dinners packed in our lunch packs, you know, ready to go. So I'd recommend, you know, you guys to prepare for a big day. See, if today you want it to be a big day, then you get up early. It's like your wedding day. On your wedding day, you know, you're going to get up early. Man, you plan this day for a year, this day. How much time has been spent planning this day to make it a special day? You figured out exactly what you're going to wear down to the cufflink. You know what kind of underwear and socks are planned out weeks in advance for this one day, because you want it to be what? Special, right? So imagine if you treated every day like that. But here's the thing, we're waiting for a special day to come, and then we treat it like we look at our calendar, when's going to be a special day? Oh, let's make that, and let's treat that. But if we treat every day like a special, sorry, I'm shaking up my shake here she made me. If we treat every day like it's a special day, it's going to be a special day. You don't wait for a special day to get hyped up for a special day to happen. You treat today like it's going to be a special day, and it becomes a special day. So from the beginning, today's going to be your biggest day of your career. Why? Because I planned on this. I said it was going to be. I'm not going to go throughout the day and then pick my head up at midnight tonight, guys, and be like, oh my gosh, look at this. This was my biggest day ever. And I'm surprised at that. It should be, no, I planned that the whole day. Every single day got to be planned to be something big, something special. So the thing is, people wait for something exciting to happen, and then they get excited. When I think that's almost like backwards. That's almost like hustling backwards, right? If you get excited, then what? Something exciting happens. So that's why when I hang up the phone with people and I'm talking about this opportunity, I remind them, all right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hey, get excited. Talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Get excited, man. Hey, get excited. Like, that's the way I end most of my phone calls with people when we're discussing this opportunity. Because we got to get excited first, and then all the exciting stuff happens. We can't be sitting around where like, oh man, when I'll just sit here in the rocking chair and wait for something exciting to happen, and when something exciting happens, then I'm going to put my energy into it. No, we get excited, put the energy into it, and then it comes back, and that's when exciting. See, that's the thing what happens with a lot. It's called hustling backwards. If we could just stop for a second and just talk about hustling backwards, okay? People will say this. They'll say, well, you want to know what? When I start getting paid professional income, I'm going to start acting like a professional. I'm going to start treating this like it's a professional career. That's backwards. You have to act like a professional and treat it like a professional career first, then you make the professional income after. People say, when I am the president of the company, then I'm going to dress like the president of the company. That's not the way it works. You have to dress like you are the president of the company for years before you ever become president of the company. My dad always said, dress for the position that you want, not the position that you have. Look around you. Who is the leader? How are they dressed? And how can you dress better than them? So secretly, I was competing against all my peers to make sure that if somebody walked into that room right now, guys, I'm looking at a bunch of superstars ready to rock. I'm excited. Get excited. Get excited, guys. But if somebody walked into that room and they had to be like, all right, hey, I need to talk to you. You look like you're the leader in this place. Just by the way that you're sitting, by your demeanor, by the way that you appear through your first impression of the way that you dress. Can I talk to you? Are you the leader by any chance? That's how you want to dress, to where to the naked eye, if somebody random came into our office and wanted to talk to the person in charge, they would mistaken you as that person. You guys know what I mean? That was my mindset. Without even saying a word, you can say a lot. Remember, guys, actions speak louder than words, and it's what do you call that? Non-verbal communication speaks louder than verbal communication. So you could communicate a lot, and by the way you carry yourself, by not even what you say, but how you're saying it. I just see Javier. I see Javier just right on my screen, man. And Javier looks sharp. He looks professional. The line in his hair is perfect. I mean, look at that. That thing's perfect. And when you're lined up as a gentleman, and ladies, there's things too that you can do, I'd imagine, to make it look more detail oriented. I think it portrays a level of professionalism to where you are a detail-oriented person. And without saying much, you're saying, trust me, I'm not going to let nothing slip through the cracks with me. And they're like, I mean, look at this guy. He put a lot of time into preparing everything. His appearance, his words are very well thought out and prepared. The material was prepared professionally. So if I do business with him, I could just only imagine he is going to be very prepared and detailed with me and my family and our doings in business together. So I think it says a lot without even saying anything at all, So focus on that as much as you can. What's another thing? A big thing hustling backwards is time. This is the biggest one that'll get most people, because right now you're not making, I don't know, $250 an hour, $125 an hour. We'll start with $125. That's $250,000. So, I'm using everything off of 40 hours a week, okay? 40 hours a week. So if you wanted to make $100,000 a year, working 40 hours a week, how much money per hour would you make? It's about $50. $50 an hour. Now, if you want to make $200,000 a year, that's what? That's $100 an hour. If you want to make $250,000, $250,000 is $125,000. So we'll start there. So a lot of people will say that when I'm making $125 an hour, then I'm going to treat my time like it's worth $125 an hour, because I'm going to have to be really smart with my money and AKA my what? My time. I'm going to have to be really smart with my money and my time when I'm making $125 an hour. Think about it. You got blessed with $125 an hour, and you're not smart and you're not responsible with that blessing. What do you think is going to happen to it? It's going to get taken away. So there's a reason why you're not making $125 an hour. It's because if you got it right now, you might not be prepared to even handle it. So you have to really understand what's going on. It's not me being selfish, because to cut my grass, guys, you guys been to my house before. This is the backyard over here. It's $3 million house I'm renting here. While my house in Pittsburgh gets sold, I'll clean the camera off. I'm selling my house in Pittsburgh for like $1 million. And the house I'm looking at out here is like 2.3 million. But to cut this grass right here, I have no clue what I even pay. My wife pays these people. But I just know that looking at it, it would take me hours of my life to do. And if I'm making $125 an hour, and that thing took me, I don't even know, man. I have no clue what it would take. 3 hours front and back, probably. Weed whacking. Me, I'm like OCD. I'll be in there pulling weeds and all kind of stuff. So I'll be out there for 3 hours. How much money did that cost me? 3 hours. That cost me $375 of my time. How smart is that? I could have paid somebody $100 or I don't know, $200, and they would have been happy to do it. I would have gave somebody a job that didn't have a job. They get to cut my grass, and I get to make $375 of my time back that I could put into the business and spend with people and plan and game plan and work on making us better. So it's almost like a knucklehead would be out there cutting their grass who's making that kind of income. But you got to find that spot, okay, where as soon as you possibly can, you're not making $125 an hour. You're only making $25 an hour. At some point, you got to stop cutting your grass, because you got to start treating your time like you are making $125 an hour. That's the trick. And when you start treating your time like it's worth $125 an hour, you don't let a minute slip by. It's very well planned out. Professionals got the same amount of hours that other people do. They just plan it out better. It's very well thought out to where every second, every minute doesn't slip by. And that's how serious you got to take your time. But a lot of people will wait, or they'll try to, and say, well, when I'm making $250 an hour, which is $500,000 a year, then I'll start treating my time like it's worth that. Then I'll get an assistant. Because you're going to need an assistant, guys. When you're making $250,000, you're going to need to probably pay somebody $10 or $15 or $20 an hour to handle all your baloney, so you can be more efficient with your time. Because if you're spending time doing things that somebody could be doing $15 an hour for, and you're making $125, think about what you're costing your family. That's irresponsible for my family. That's my kids' tuition. Every hour I spend doing things that are not conducive to making my max income, and I'm doing things that I could be paying other people to do, it's almost like if I cut my grass right now and I make $500 an hour, if I just basically took $1,500 out of my kids' college tuition. Like, how silly is that for my family and my future? So it's a high level of responsibility. I'm trying to communicate to you guys in multiple different avenues and different analogies here. Hopefully it makes a little bit of sense to you. Some of this you guys might think, this ain't even why I want to be on the call. I don't want to hear all this. Well, then we'll switch it up. And if you got some questions, we'll go over them too, okay? But I think it's just important to get an understanding in this business, especially because, you're not on the clock. It's not a clock in, clock out. Just remember, this is your personal business. And the more that you understand that, you'll work on your personal, because you can get your business to blow up. But if you struggle on your personal, if you're just not mentally tough, if you're not physically strong, because your business can blow up, and then you could have a heart attack or something, and now it don't matter. So you got to work on your personal, physical, mind. You can't have a mental breakdown in the middle of a big week or a big month, or you hit some adversity. You can't have mental breakdown if you have some adversity in life or in business, because your mental and your body and the spirit, all that stuff ties into your personal growth. And if you have to have goals that are aligned to what your values are. You know, so if our values and our goals and our actions and our beliefs and our talks and our words and our thoughts and everything that we do is aligned with that, and we're doing the right things, guys, if you do the right things, you know, you're with the right people, you say all the right words, you're thinking the right thoughts, you're putting the right things into your mind consistently, you're always doing the right actions, you're eating the right things, not just putting it into your mouth, but putting it into your head, into your brain, like what you're consuming. You know, you're making sure, because it's not what you eat, but it's what you don't eat. You got to keep stuff out too. We have to be on a physical standpoint. When I'm hungry and there's no healthy food to eat, I just don't eat. I just started doing that this year. Lost a lot of weight doing it. I mean, not tons of weight, but, you know, I've lost about 10 pounds, and that's a lot for me. So if there's nothing good to listen to, don't just listen to some garbage. So we got to keep the bad stuff out. You know, Eric Giglione said that, he said, my ears are not garbage cans. My ears are not garbage cans. I'll never forget that. And he said, please don't dump your trash on me. Don't be pouring that into my ears. I'm not here for you to pour all your negativity into. Please. He said, imagine if somebody came into your house and poured a bunch of smelly garbage all over your living room where your kids were playing. What would you do? You'd be pretty upset. You actually probably get mad and kick them out. But today, people will dump garbage into our ears all day long, and we'll sit there and listen to it with a smile on our face and like almost enjoy it and start eating it up with them. We got to have a vigilant approach on that. And you got to realize, hey, what's good, what's bad? Hey, this ain't good for me right now. Not right now. Actually, not never. There's things that are like not now and not never, right? You got to decide that shit. Some stuff is like, hey, that's cool, but not now. How about after 9 o'clock when we're done with phones? How about that? You could tell me all about it then. That's a cool thing. Some stuff is just too, like, not never. I don't even want to hear that. You know? So we got to know where to draw the line. You guys know that let me give you guys a complete sentence. This is a full and complete, legitimate sentence. You ready? No. Try it out sometimes. It works. When I was a little kid, they used to tell, just say no. Just say no. I don't know if you guys ever remember that campaign. I think it was like the Dare campaign or something. Just say no. I mean, sometimes as grown adults, we got to learn to just say no, but not to drugs, to some of us to drugs, but to the wrong things. But we have to know what's right and what's wrong and not allow that stuff in. Because, you know, that our minds only have a certain amount of capacity, just like a computer. How about bandwidth? I think this would make sense, guys. Let me know if this doesn't. Does everybody know about bandwidth in the internet, in the air? I guess it's like floating around everywhere. Is that right? Is there bandwidth floating around the office? There's probably some bandwidth in the office. Here's what I think it works like. Is let's say we have 100 bandwidths and we got 100 people in our office. And only one person is using the internet. That person's probably going to have pretty good internet, right? that internet's going to process that stuff fast. He'll be able to download all the Arius University videos that they're going to be watching. He's going to be able to get onto the Vena Agency YouTube and watch the training videos on there. No problem. Impact, be able to report our numbers real fast through Impact, right? We love reporting our numbers on Impact at the end of call night, don't we? And we love reporting our numbers at the end of each field night too in the Impact. So we love that bandwidth so I can get my numbers reported quick. So anyways, we love doing our dashboards. So we love the bandwidth because our dashboards, I know you guys are trying to get up there early in the mornings and get on that bandwidth before everybody gets on there so you can get your dashboards filled out too. So, so with all that being said though, imagine if 100 people got on the bandwidth. What happens to it then? It slows down, right? So that's like the way your brain works too. So you got to be able to keep only the right things on your bandwidth. And things that are not, like every time I walk into my mom's house, you know, and I'll tell her this to her face. I say, every time I walk in, you have the news on. The news. Nothing good is on the news. Nothing good. It's always some baloney. I literally go in and I turn it down or I turn it off. Especially if she's over my house and that's on my television. I don't got the bandwidth to even hear that in the background of my head. I don't even want to hear it back there. It's taking up some of my bandwidth, you know? So Bill Gates says there's this thing called decision fatigue. This is a whole nother thing. This is not bandwidth now. Bandwidth is what you got going on up here. That's a lot. You got to be able to get the stuff out and get the good stuff in the bandwidth because you only got so much to process. The second thing, though, is on a daily basis, your mind can only process a certain amount of decisions. Decisions. Small decisions, large decisions. Your brain doesn't matter. You can only process a certain amount of decisions. So if you ever notice that these very highly successful, and if somebody's successful, that means that they're very what? Effective and efficient. They're very effective and they're very efficient at what they do. So in order to be effective and efficient at what they do, then they need to focus on what they're doing, which means all the decisions they need to make need to go towards important things. So they try to eliminate any small decisions throughout the day. And one of those is their clothing. If you ever notice, they always wear all black. They're like, yeah, I mean, Jeff Bezos, he just jeans, tennis shoes, whatever shirt. He just sees his shirt. He got 5 shirts. There's a gray, a blue, and a black one. Throws one of those on, matches with all the shoes, all the jeans, puts his ball cap on, whatever he does, and there's his outfits. You know, I think it was, who's the most famous person, pop quiz time, who's probably the most famous person for starting this trend of not wearing nothing but black?
Dr. Dre or Steve Jobs?
I would say Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, I love it.
Jay-Z.
See, Johnny Cash did that for style. I did not even think Dr. Dre. Who said Dr. Dre? Who? Javon? He's pointing to Javon. Javon said, well, the answer I was thinking was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. I don't think Dr. Dre did it because he didn't want to make decisions. Steve Jobs has a lot on his plate, and he's like, I ain't even going to think about what I want to wear anymore. I'm just wearing all black because it don't matter. It all matches, and I'm down with it. I'm Italian, so, you know, they do that a lot. Like, you lose a family member, you'll see an Italian in all black for a straight year. Like, you're not allowed to wear nothing but black for the next year. So, growing up, you know, I'd have nanas that, you know, just wore black all the time and stuff. Anyways, all right. So, so decisions, right? All that stuff plays a role, and it's when you can focus in on all the small little things you know, and these little things all add up to bigger things. That's why I moved right next to the office when I started with the company. Yeah, so what was I going to say? Oh, I lived right next to the office, so I didn't have to waste time driving anywhere. And I figured if it could save me a half hour a day, man, holy cow, the inches that I'm going to get on my competition. That half hour a day, that's how many hours a week? What is that? 2.5 hours a week? That's 10 hours a month. That's an extra 10 hours a month I'm going to get to put into my business. I could do whatever I want, recruit with that, train with that. Imagine if I trained for an extra 10 hours a month over my competition. Imagine if I made calls for an extra 10 hours a month. Imagine if I just spent those extra 10 hours a month when everybody was driving to the office. I just spent that recruiting. And that's all I did. Just imagine those things that would happen in 10 months or 1 year from now. So by living next to the office, for me, was a game changer. Also, I just thought about the less stress, man. Well, I got a meeting at 8:30. I got to be at the office. I'm driving to the office. There's traffic, construction, school buses. You know, now I'm stressed out. I'm running into the freaking office. Never had to worry about that when I lived next to the office. You know, less stress on my car, about the money and gas. 10 hours, that's two or three tanks of gas. It's at least $100 in gas right there. Right? So, you know, all that stuff, less oil changes. I mean, less chances of getting into a car wreck. There's just so much. So that's why I live next to the office, so I can get that other little edge. And think about it. You're talking to a guy that physically moved and sought out and looked and strategically planned this shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I strategically planned this out and looked out where's next to the office that I can live that will be a hop, a skip, and a jump. And you could ask people, I live 2 minutes, two minutes. Like, I didn't even use the bathroom at the office. I drove home because it would take me 2 minutes to walk down the hallway to the bathroom, and I could be in my house in 2 minutes. So I went home. Lunch, I got to go home for lunch every day if I wanted to. Saved me a lot of money on going out to eat. Think about that. Teams, I brought the team over to my house anytime we wanted to just go over to the house, cook out, hang out there for lunch. Easy. So anyways, I could go on and on and on. I could write a whole chapter of a book on how amazing it is and the importance of, I believe, of living next to your office. And now, guys, 2020, we brought the office right to you. So now you literally can be 2 minutes from your office and in your house, because your office is in your house. Right? So that's amazing. That's amazing. Austin wrote 9K last week, 9,800. Let's just call it 10K. She wrote 9,800 last week. Austin wrote 9,800 last week. Calling her leads from Pittsburgh virtually, and she gets the leads after everybody else gets the leads, because she's virtually, so I don't have to put them in an area. So we have to do people that are working in areas. I make sure everybody does their areas, and we put them in their areas first. And then after that, anybody that's working virtually, it don't matter what area they're in. So we give them basically whatever's left. So Austin calls and rocks these things, doesn't complain, nothing, not once. Single mom, takes care of 2 children. She's rocking it. Yesterday, she wrote 5K. Think about that. So there's no, what I tell you with her is if you ever talk to her, man, and I think it's just, that's what it is. It's not a specific skill set. it's a will set. It's a will to win, if that makes sense. You gotta get it. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. You know? My son was born right into this world a fighter, fighting for his life the day he was born. And if they didn't do immediate open heart surgery, he wouldn't have made it. And then they had to do another one 3 months later and another one a year later. And he's been fighting. He's a fighter. He's a fighter. This agency was born into a pandemic. We opened up the doors in March. On Monday, everybody's super excited. We were rocking. We were ready to go. On Tuesday, the world stopped turning. Everybody's like, oh my God, big announcement, pandemic, everybody close your doors. Everybody freezes. And instead of us retrieving, retreating, we put our heels in the ground and we pushed forward. And not only did we survive, but we broke a record and are the fastest agency ever to do $100,000 in a week. And then everybody, when they do it, they can put an asterisk next to it because it was during a pandemic, the worst economic recession and pandemic that they say they've ever seen. So amongst all that, we already got the Purple Heart and we already are fighters. We're born in. This agency is born fighters. So we got to just remember that, Austin's a fighter. She's out there fighting, she don't look like she's been in a fight. If you look at a picture of Austin, she don't got a black eye or nothing like that. Her nails are all done up. She looks all good and professional. But it's a fight out there, and you got to have literally the no excuses attitude. And when you have no excuses, when you start to entertain excuses, you're going to start to lose. When you start to believe your own excuses, you're going to start to lose. So you have to have those no excuses. You're talking to someone that, during my Nana's funeral, I showed up for the team event. If there's anybody who could miss a team event, it would have been me. I was #1 RGA in the world 5 times in a row. Or 4 times in a row, 5 times in 6 years. If anybody can miss a meeting, I never miss a meeting on top of that. And it was my Nana's funeral. Everybody would understand, don't you think? But I didn't miss. I went to the funeral, but I also went to the team event. So I just want you to think, when you have an excuse, just know how that would go over with me. I would have a very hard time understanding how you could miss anything at this point. We shouldn't miss nothing. We got to be on point, 100%. So that's what Gio means by just no excuses. I never made them for myself. I would either show up or I wouldn't be on the team. That's what part of being on the team is. That means everything, not just the game. You don't just show up for the game. You don't just show up for payday. He doesn't show up for, we all went to lunch the other day. He didn't come to that. We all went to play golf. He didn't come to that. We had a training. He missed the training. We had a team meeting, missed the team meeting. But then on Friday, when it was payday, he stood there like this. When it was time for us to lift up the championship trophy, he was there for that. It's not how it works when you're part of a championship team. You got to be at everything. Team breakfasts, we're going to team breakfast. I mean, whatever it is, we're there. And that's how I always rolled. I didn't miss nothing because I felt like if I missed something, I was going to miss something. And I didn't want to miss nothing. FOMO, right? Saturday night, all your friends go out, you get FOMO. Friday morning, we do a sales call, nobody gets FOMO. Think about it. Saturday night, everybody's doing shots at the bar. You have an appointment, you start to get FOMO. Sunday, everybody's going to tailgate for the Bears game. You got appointments. You get FOMO. Monday, we got an agency meeting. You sleep in. You don't get no FOMO. Monday, team got a team meeting. You don't show up to the team meeting. No FOMO. That's not how I roll. I would get FOMO if I missed anything that involved my business and making money for my family. That's my number one priority. That's my job. So I would show up. It's about playing for the right reasons. So I think if everybody here wants to win, right? So, you know, Javon can win, but the whole team can lose. Javon can have a great week, but the team can have, everybody on the team can have a bad week, make no money. That's no good. Because if that keeps happening, Javon, we're not going to have a team. We're going to shut the business down. Is that good for Javon, guys? Is it good for Javon to win but the team to lose?
No.
Eventually, guess who loses? Javon. When the team wins, everybody gets a ring. Everybody gets a ring when the team wins. So when the team wins, everybody wins. Everybody wins. So it's about playing for the name on the front of the jersey more than we play for the name on the back of the jersey. On the back of the jersey has your last name. On the front of the jersey has the team name. We got to be playing for the team more. And I'll tell you what, that if you want to win and you're only playing for yourself, you're going to lose. If you want to win, you have to find a way to play for something bigger than yourself. You have to find a way to play for the team, to play for your coach, to play for your leader, to play for your captain. And when I'm out there and I'm playing for the team, and I know that I'm diving for balls, I know that Javon just freaking dove out of bounds, ran into the thing, bloodied up his elbow, and he could easily sit out right now, but he sucked it up, and he's still in the game, and Javon's still in the game, and I can see he's holding back some freaking pain, right? But then the next play, he's still hustling his ass off up and down the court. What do you think I'm going to do? Then a loose ball goes sliding. I'm diving for the loose ball because I seen him sliding for the loose ball. And I know this guy over here just took an elbow to the back of his head trying to get that rebound. And this guy ran up and down the court 6 times trying to defend this guy. He could barely even breathe, hunched over like this. I got to go. My whole team's out there giving it all they got. There's blood, sweat, and tears. All 3 of them are going down right now. And I'm over here worried about myself because I got to get an oil change on Tuesday. That's selfish. Stop worrying about yourself. For real. You have limited success. People are so worried about their own agenda. When you put the team agenda first, your own agenda will be taking care of itself. It's crazy. It's called hustling backwards. People want to win their own agenda, so they try and do their own agenda, and then they never get their own agenda. because you're going to end up working for somebody else working on their agenda for $15, $25 an hour, some baloney, $35 an hour. So if you want to have your agenda, you got to get on the team's agenda. When the team wins, a rising tide, guess what happens to the rising tide? Raises all the ships. A rising tide raises all the ships. I came into this business not knowing nobody at all. But when I walked in, I treated it like it was mine. If I saw shit on the floor, I picked it up. If tables were not where they, I put them back. People would have thought it was my business. It wasn't. I was a brand new agent. I was an SA, I was a GA, I was an MG, I had no ownership in nothing. And guess what happened after 4 years? Simon made me a partner in the agency. Oh, go figure. The guy acted like an owner for 4 years and boom, becomes partner with the owner. That's real shit. It's not a movie. It's a story of a man who showed up every day at 8 o'clock in the morning like someone's going to take his job because his dad showed up every day at 8 o'clock in the morning, because if his dad didn't show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, they would fire him from his job. So I saw my dad do this for 20 years. So guess what I did? Just fucking showed up. Yeah, that's what I did. You're talking to someone that showed up early and stayed late and took ownership and sacrificed and made commitment and did all the right things. Never budged on the character, right morals, right integrity. Because you have to have pillars of success. Pillars of what is James Allen calls them. Oh man, it's gonna drive me crazy. He doesn't call them pillars of success. He calls them something else, okay? But anyways, these pillars are nothing but morals and integrity and character things and ethics. Morals, character, integrity, ethics, like things like that. So you're looking at, that's what I've done for 4 years. I did that. And before you know it, 4 years later, I'm now partners with the owner in the agency, making $1 million a year, have a Maserati, got 2 Lexuses, one for my wife, one for my mom, bought them both for them for their birthdays, got myself an Escalade while I was at it. And then we got a brand new $300,000 townhouse by the time I was freaking 28 years old. 4 years later, kept the townhouse, rented out to a doctor for $2,500 a month. So I had that thing paying for itself. And then I bought $1 million house with a basketball court, and I'm selling to the #1 draft pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Wasn't overnight. It took massive amounts of faith. You got to take the trust fall. Massive amounts of faith, going all in, all in, all in, all in. There were spiritual tests for me. There were mental tests for me. There were physical tests for me. There were relationship tests for me. There was loyalty tests for me. There was every test in the book for me. And here's the thing. You're going to get handed tests, and if you fail, you're not going to make it to the next round. And guess what? You're going to get handed that test again and again and again until you pass it, just like school. Just like school. If you don't pass class, if you don't pass the spelling class, if you don't pass English, they're going to give you tests. And if you don't pass English, guess what you have to do? You have to take English over again. Well, I mean, I could understand maybe one time messing up, but if you got to take English over again and then you still don't pass it, and life says, hey, bud, you got to take it again, and you still don't pass it, and you got to take it again, we got a learning deficit disorder going on here, okay? That's a major issue. You cannot keep getting handed the same test over and over and failing. That's why when you get the test, okay, there's not going to be, my testimony right now, I have a testimony. It's because I got a test and I passed it. I got tested and I passed my test. So therefore I have a testimony. There is no testimony without a test. And most of my tests were 100% spiritual. They went down to positions where I couldn't control nothing anyways. Some of my worst days in this business and in life seem like everything just gets dark and you have a bad day and then something bad happens, another bad. And before you know, you're like, all right, that's it, man. Nothing bad can happen anymore. Everything bad happened. This is messed up. I'm at my wit's end. It's pretty dark right now. It sucks. Okay. Then you know what happens? You're going to have about 3 more bad things happen that were worse than all the other ones before. Okay. That's what's going to happen. So get ready for it. But then you get excited. Okay. Because it's always darkest before the dawn. And I know, boom, something good got to be coming now because I'm still standing. I just withstand all this adversity. I'm still standing. And now you're strong enough to handle the next level. And you just leveled up in life. But if you quit, if you curl up in a ball, then you never level up, never pass that test, never have a testimony, and you fit in with everybody else and the other 99% of the world. So, you know, I think a big thing in this business is really just being mentally tough. You know, I talked to a young kid today about the opportunity, and you know, I said I was being genuine with him because I met him, and I said he seemed like a pretty nice guy. Like, seemed like he got a big heart, very well spoken. Seems like he just got a good spirit about him, a good aura, you know. And I told him that, and then I followed up with another thing. But I said, but what I don't know about you, okay, is I don't know what your work ethic is like, and I don't know how mentally tough you are. And he said, well, I'm down to work as hard as I got to work, blah, 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 right? And I said, well, the only way to find out is the what? Is to find out. It's the only way to find out. So if you take an orange right now, guys, and you squeeze an orange, what's going to come out? Orange juice. You squeeze a grape, what's going to come out? Grape juice. If you squeeze you, what's going to come out? Right? That's what we got to find out. But you got to put yourself in that position. So, let me see. I think we had a question on here, but I think we're going to break here in a second. I don't know if there's one question I might have answered that. What was the hardest struggle and how'd you get through it? I think I covered pretty much most of that on there. So, but you know, today, point of the day today is going to be to be proactive with everything that we do. Be proactive in your words and your actions. So before you run your meeting, think about it, have it thought out. Be proactive in how you're going to present. Be proactive in how you're going to make your phone calls. Be prepared. But also be proactive in your presentation by handling the 3 major rebuttals, right? The reason why we're there is they have work insurance, right? So we got to get them to tell us that they have work insurance. If you can get the information, pull it from their lead information sheet, guys. If you sit with somebody who's a hard card, pull up their lead information sheet and show them, hey, Joe, Mary, I'm not sure if you looked at your benefits recently, but I actually did the research. I've been meeting with a lot, and I've been helping and meeting with a lot of the members in your organization, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. And what we found, and the reason why your president is contracted through us is did you see what happened with your benefits when you retire, Mary? No? Here, I'll pull it up on the screen for you. Or here, I'll show it to you. I printed it out for you. Can you read that? What's it say right there for retirees. Go ahead, Mary. Go. You could read that for Joe to hear too as well. And she's going to go, well, okay, it says all benefits cease to exist after retirement. So, Joe, did you see that? Okay. So were you guys aware of how all that worked? That was one of the biggest problems and concerns that they ran into with your organization. Now, Mary, one question, how does that make you feel knowing that you're going to lose all of your benefits, you know, once he reaches his retirement? And whatever she tells you, she's going to tell you, not good. Like, she's going to be all shy about it, okay? I've do this a million times. She's going to go, not good. She must like put her head down. Not good. Anybody ever seen Napoleon Dynamite? Where he hands Napoleon Dynamite the Tupperware, and he hands it to the wife's is sitting there with the husband. He gives it to the husband. He goes, here, go ahead and try and break it. Try and break it. And he tries to do it, and he can't do it. And he's like, I can't do it. Like he was like, that's how she's gonna feel whenever you ask her, how does that make you feel? Okay. She's like, how does it make you feel? You know, you lose all your benefits. Like, oh, not good. And then here's what you do, guys. Okay. You go like this, you go, excuse me? What was that? Okay. Just wanted to make her repeat herself in that situation. Then you go to Joe, you say, now, Joe, how does that make you feel knowing you're going to lose all your benefits? But then I might even do the same thing, say, excuse me, and have him repeat himself again. That you can do that right at the beginning of your presentation when you're explaining them why we're here. And now that basically gets all the rebuttals off the table. And then you could tell them, well, that's exactly why we're here. That's why your president, as well as 30,000 other organizations, work with our company to make sure their members have permanent guaranteed benefits for them and all their families. So I'll make sure I go over that with you today. And it didn't look like any of your American Income Life paperwork was filled out yet. So we'll make sure we can, if everything makes sense to you today, we'll make sure we get you squared away and get you enrolled into and qualified for the additional benefits. But, Joe, you probably never really heard of our company before. We don't do any advertising. There's no billboards, no commercials. And it's actually a good thing because our company is larger than Aflac and Geico combined. In fact, we're the largest life insurance provider in the country, but you won't see our name anywhere. So this is about as far as it's going to go, as far as you're going to see anything for our company. But we take those billions of dollars that other companies are wasting on advertising and commercials and all that. We actually put them right back into our programs for all of our members. That's why we work with all these organizations, and they trust us to handle all their important benefits. So I'll start you out with this initial video, and I make them watch the first video. So that might be somewhat of a transition I would do from going from explaining to them why we're here to getting that first video out there and building up the company the whole time. We always got to be building up the company because in their mind, they're trying to play it down like, oh, why are they here? I don't need to hear this. This is a waste of my time, blah, 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 blah. That's what they're trying to do in their head. But if you're always building it up, they're not going to be able to do that. So we just got to always be able to build up the reason that we're there and what we're doing. Okay. Don't let them ever build you down or suck your energy out. Remember, when you walk into a home or you meet with a client, a lot of times they're like sitting on their rocking chair, you got to think that really is. So when we give these presentations, energy is transferable. If you want them to have enough energy to go get their checkbook and their driver's license, which means they got to get their ass up and walk around and go get it. You got to have energy that you put into them. And they have to feel that energy, enough energy where it's at least going to make them get their freaking checkbook and their driver's license. I mean, you don't got to give them enough energy to do jumping jacks and burpees. But I'm saying they got to have some energy when they're done talking with you. You got to bring the energy through the screen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this screen is powerful. I mean, this screen makes people laugh. This screen makes people cry. And that's what we got to do. This screen makes people buy. We got to do it all. We got to make them laugh, make them cry, make them buy. That's what it is. You got to educate. You got to entertain, educate, and enroll when we're out there. Entertain, get their attention. Educate, make them understand, enroll, protect their family, entertain, educate, enroll, make them laugh. We got to make them laugh, make them cry. They got to have some emotion. Remember, motion creates emotion. So we can't be sitting there like this the whole time. You got to have some motion going on. And it takes more energy for me to move my arm than to not move my arm. So you have to have energy in order to have motion. And the energy and the motion creates the emotion. And remember, this is an emotional cell. So all these small little things can be practiced. But if you're doing this the whole time, guess what? You're going to lose any effectiveness with it. So you can't just be, you know, the wacky flailing arms guy, okay? You can't, you got to be an Italian, but not too much of Italian, you know? How do you get an Italian to shut up? Just tie their arms behind their back because they speak with their hands so much, right? So you can be Italian when you're in the home a little bit. Then the other two rebuttals, guys, are going to be, I want to think about it and I can't afford it. And we have to spend time on this. And this can't be just, you just do the script verbatim and with no like care to it. Slow down and make sure you're delivering it because you don't want to hear anything silly at the end like, I want to think about it. You want to let them know that. So this is the paragraph after the mandatory read-off letter. Very proactive so you don't hear, I want to think about it. And after you hear, I want to think about it enough, you're going to get really good at this because you're going to get sick of it. You're going to put your foot down like I did. My number one rebuttal was, I want to think about it. It's the number one rebuttal they gave me all the time. I want to think about it, Tommy, because by the end, they knew they needed it and they knew there was no excuse for them not to be able to afford it. They knew they needed it because I was very good at explaining to them in any way it took me. If I had to use different analogies, if I had to use numbers, if I had to use examples of chickens and eggs, I would break it down for them to by no means, when I left that house, they might not buy the insurance, but one thing for sure, they definitely know what they needed. They definitely know that they were undercovered and what they needed. So one thing I made sure very clear was that they knew what they needed. And by the end, there was no way they couldn't afford it. So a lot of times I was too friendly with them. And by being too friendly with them, I got into the friend zone and they always told me they wanted to think about it. So I had to draw that line of professionalism, but also I just had to hammer home my paragraph after the mandatory read-off letter and be more elaborate with it than before. So that's why we added that extra line in there as well, guys. So you always want to say, if it makes sense, we want you to try and apply. They ask you to enroll into the benefits today during enrollment period. If it doesn't make sense, they ask you to not enroll into the service period. Either way, they need you to make a decision today, just in fairness to all the other members waiting to enroll into the program. And Joe, the good thing about the benefits is they're pretty much a no-brainer. So you guys are going to know one way or not whether these benefits, I'm going to go over with you here, whether they're going to fit a need for your family or not. Basically, Joe and Mary, they just didn't want me to go through all the benefits here with you today. And you say something, silly like that you wanted to think about it. So they just want to make sure that you do make that decision today. Yes or no? Either way. Either way. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, perfect. Because this is your enrollment period, and we have so many other members, like I told you, we're servicing right now. But I'll make sure I get through your information for you today, and we'll get your family taken care of. See, like I might slow down there and really harp on it, especially if the last three people told me they want to think about it. I'm like, listen, you could tell me to go fly a kite. You could tell me to go pound sand. You can tell me I can't afford it. I don't care what you tell me. But one thing you're not going to tell me today is I want to think about it. It got to that point to me where I literally had to put my foot down, if you guys know what I mean. So then the last thing is I can't afford it. So Joe, they always make me ask, if you were to set aside $5 out of every $100 that you took home to protect your family, would that take food off of your table or drastically change your lifestyle? No? Okay. Well, the reason they make me ask is they figured that they could take 5% of our income to protect the other 95%. Because if we don't, then there's two things that are guaranteed to happen 100% of the time. And Joe, do you know what those two guarantees are in life? What do they call them? There's death and taxes, right? Now, I know a couple people that got around paying taxes, but I never met anyone who got around dying. So for you, Joe, the first benefit that they set up for you is your freedom of choice certificate. The first thing they did is they had a video on the funeral and final arrangements, and then I'll play the video for them. And I played the first video for if we're doing the needs analysis, or I'll just go in and start pitching them. So literally right after I go over the mandatory read-off letter and I tell them I don't want them to think about it, the next thing I go over with them is, now, Joe, they always make me ask. Literally right after that, they always make me ask. And I get both of them out of the way. And then after I get that out of the way, then I go into my, I guess you call it your pitch. That'd be where you're going to be breaking down what you're going to be selling them. So if you're doing an ABC, I'll just say, so Joe, what they did for you to cover your concerns would be they'd set up an option for you. Your first option would be option A. Option A would cover you for this, and it would handle you for this. Here's what it would do for you. Remember, when you're doing option A, B, and C, always tell them, here's what it would do for you. Option B, it'll cover you for this, this, and this. Here's what this will do for you. Option C, it'll cover you for this, this, and this. This is what this will do for you. Now, while you think about what's best for you and your family, I need to make sure you guys can qualify for the program. And then I'll start qualifying them. So I always do a takeaway, guys. When I go to close, I pitch them what they need, show them what they got, and I say, hey, everybody always wants to try and qualify for these benefits, but unfortunately, not everyone can. So I need to make sure you can qualify first. And then I start qualifying them, and I take it away from them before they even can get it. So the other option you can do on cost, is you could do the hour power, if you guys know that. But, you know, I'll pitch it one more time. It just says, you know, the first one's the $5. We'll call this the $5 question, right? Here's how it goes. So, Joe, they always make me ask, if you were to set aside $5 for every $100 that you took home to protect your family, would that take food off your table or drastically change your lifestyle? Did you have to cut the heat off or take food off your table in the wintertime? Probably not, right? Okay. Now, the reason they have me ask is because they felt that we can take 5% of our income to protect the other 95%. Because if we don't do that, then there's two things that are going to happen 100% of the time. And that is, you know, the two guarantees in life, right, Joe? Death and taxes. Now, I met a couple people who got around paying taxes before, but I never met anybody who got around dying. So for you, they came up with three options. First option would be this, this, and this. I say, so for you, the first video that they're going to have for you, this is going to break down for your funeral and final arrangements. Press play. I play the video. Or if I'm doing a two job, I would just say, so what they did for you, Joe, and if I do a two job, I'll be using an hour power to break costs down. So I would have used the $5 question. So if I know my pitch is going to be an hour power, which most of us aren't doing, but you can if you want. It's an easy pitch. Basically, you know, you do, and you could use the hour power for anything. You don't have to use the $5 question. So you could go like this instead. Ready? So Joe and Mary, you know, you could even say they always make me ask. I think it's a cool little lead into it. Just that's like a way for me to know I got to get the cost out. They always make me ask, Joe, if you were to get an extra hour in your pay this week and maybe got 41 instead of 40 hours, well, that might feel pretty good, right? You're probably not going to buy a new car or take a dream vacation because you got an extra hour, right? On the flip side, let's say they pulled everybody aside and cut everybody back by an hour. So instead of taking home 40, you took home 39 hours this week, 1 hour less. Well, that might make a little bit of a difference, but we're probably not going to cancel the cable or, sell the car because we lost an hour either, right? So whether we were to get an hour or to lose an hour, either way, doesn't make that big of a difference. So they said, let's put that hour towards something that would. All right. So in your current job right now, you're currently making $1,250 a week. Well, in your enhanced job, you're going to be making about $1,210 per week. Pretty much the same thing, but the enhanced job is going to cover some major problems and serious concerns. The first one was funeral and final arrangements. Blah, blah, and here you just show in your current job, there's nothing to cover that. In your enhanced job, we got 30 grand. Next concern was income. In your current job, there's nothing to replace the income. In an enhanced job, we got that covered, 5 years, $3,000 a month, whatever it is, and then at the end, you just show them which job would you take. So it's pretty straightforward if you want to go into that pitch as well. But those are the 3 proactive places that you will get the most rebuttals in. Is they'll say they don't need it. They'll say they have work insurance. So, and they're going to be questioning why you're there. So if you can show up and show them, why you're there, that's pretty good. Beats the rebuttal. The other thing's going to be, I can't afford it and I want to think about it. We got to be on point with that, and then we got to tie it all together. And put together and string together a great presentation. Before you go into your next presentation, you have to tell yourself this is going to be my next best client. In fact, this is going to be my biggest client. And when you keep aiming and trying to get, every client to be your best client, that's how you get your best client. Before you know it, you have a day where you got 5 sales and they were all your best clients. Every day, every client. So let's string together today through referrals, through working hard, working the system. Let's string together, let's stack the deck for us, and put together, a couple big days in a row here and get the momentum going. All right, guys, I'm going to break for today. You guys did great. I know I took a little bit extra time. Hopefully this was helpful. Come on, guys, let's implement. Let's take this to the next level. Let's light ourselves on fire, so we can light everybody else on fire. Let's make a change out there, guys. Proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Tommy.
Thanks, Tommy.
Hey.